All right, well, as you said, we've heard a lot of buzzwords today. We have efficiency and communication, bureaucracy, so it seems like we are definitely similar. But one thing that sets me apart, and I hope you've noticed, is I'm the only female candidate running for an SGA leadership position. So I can bring a different perspective to the student government organization and be sure that the female community of Emory University is definitely represented in our student government organization. And one thing that sets me apart is I'm also emphasizing the fact that I'm passionate about this university, and I'm passionate about bringing services that will benefit all students at the university. One thing I want to work on is getting a printing stipend for students at Oxford College. They do get, I believe, a $10 printing stipend, and I want to see if we can implement that at Emory here. I also, to tie along with the printing stipend, one thing I did this year is I was a part of the initiative to get free laundry in all undergraduate housing on campus, and I'm happy to say it was successful. So if you're living on campus next year, you will have free laundry, which is exciting. So since we've gotten free laundry, the next step is this printing stipend. There's no reason why we can't work towards that. I also am passionate about sustainability initiatives that other candidates haven't emphasized. By 2015, next year, Emory has a goal to reduce energy consumption by 25%. And I want to see what the student government organization can do to work towards the sustainability goal. Currently, I'm the president of the Green Action Community in Woodruff Residential Center, and so I have experience working on these sustainability initiatives, and I want to see how we can reduce energy consumption in residence halls. I also want to bring more shuttles to Claremont campus and also organize airport shuttles for students during all long breaks. So I emphasize more services, I represent the female community, and hopefully be able to represent the whole student body as the student government president. Thank you.
I think representing historically marginalized communities is very important. That's why I want to create those religious and racial and ethnic liaisons and advocates on the Student Government Executive Board to ensure that we're engaging a diverse set of students. I think what sets me apart is my historical and current emphasis on campus safety. Considering some of the recent events on campus, some really recent unfortunate events, I think that deploying a campus safety application would be very beneficial to our community. Placing a blue light phone in the palm of every student's hand, where a student, if they need to contact EPD, can do it through a smartphone application. Then EPD sees their face and their GPS location in real time on the computer screen. They can also text EPD or communicate via picture if it's unsafe to use their voice. And this location service actually can also take place inside. So EPD will know if you're in room 340E in the duct, for example. I think what sets me apart is not only my vision for the Student Government Association, but my ability to carry that vision through. A lot of my platform talks about technology, and I'm extremely experienced with technology. Deploying the current SGA website, it was a very technological task, and deploying the Emory Life Network was as well. And I'm on a search committee with Campus Life, searching for an interactive communications developer whose main goal will be to interface with student organizations to deploy these websites and to ensure that we're advertising effectively and meeting the needs of our student population.
Okay, great. Back on the script. So finally, so we talked about this with the SJVP candidates, but what is your stance on the referendum that includes additions to the Constitution, such as, quote, to expel any member of the legislature and remove all other individuals from office, including student organizations, and why?
I think a lot of candidates tonight have pointed out the issue with lumping so many different things into one bill. We've talked a lot about communication and engaging different communities, and I think that having a serious conversation with the Emory community about these changes is vital. So at this point, it might be wise to vote no on the referendum in order to discuss the nuances of these issues and their implications. The constitutional amendment does a lot of good, but it could also do a lot of bad, and I think that's a metaphor for the Student Government Association as a whole. It's an organization that has a great amount of power, and if used improperly, it can do a lot of harm to the Emory community. So I think the Student Government Association should host an open forum or some sort of debate where we can discuss line by line or paragraph by paragraph each of these issues and the implications of those issues. make sure that we're not forcing something on the Emory community that we haven't fully thought through.
And I couldn't agree more that we need to have an open forum. We need to, again, bridge the communication gap. We need to prevent what happened with the C-split bill, where after it was passed, there was all this dissent that came about. We see even, at the wheel debate now, we're having these questions, so obviously this is a topic that Emory students are concerned about. And so I think the student government organization needs to step back and really reflect on our role as an organization. Another thing that sets me apart from other candidates is that I'm emphasizing the fact that the student government organization, while it is an important governing body, it also needs to understand its role among the hierarchy of other organizations. Candidates have emphasized that you have SGA and you have divisional councils and university-wide organizations. And as your SGA president, I will work to ensure that the student government organization does not encroach on the university-wide organizations or the divisional councils and mandate that they need to do certain policies. I believe these groups have the right to be independent and to keep their policies, and that's one of the main ideas that I will implement as your SGA president.
Okay, I have a quick question. I know that you didn't vote on the C-split bill, correct? Would you have voted yes or no?
So I am the Speaker of the Legislature, as I said, so I was not able to vote on the bill, and I would not have voted for it. I would have asked to table the bill. If I could have been a legislators could motion to table a bill. Basically what that would mean is it would mean we would be able to discuss it further, and I would have tabled and then brought more groups together, brought representatives from the university-wide organization to form some committee and to discuss this further and really see what are the issues, what could have been changed, or what ideas are great and what needs to be thought about further. One thing that I would have agreed upon on the bill is I definitely supported the position that we created in the SGA office to have someone who helps throughout the treasurer process, inputting data. So I think that was definitely something that all university-wide organizations agreed on, that we did need the data analysis representative in the SGA office, but I would have asked to table it and then discuss it further.
John, yes or no?
I agree that tabling it would have been the wisest course of action, but in all the conversations I've had with the organizations about the C-split bill, they've disagreed fundamentally with the process that SGA utilized to put forward the C-split bill. And what Kim was pointing out, by tabling it and engaging all those people in conversation, would have alleviated those concerns about the process. But fundamentally, what the C-split bill did was create that additional position which alleviates a lot of the burden for student organization treasurers. Student organization treasurers at this university, before this bill went into place, essentially worked a full-time job and a half, and that really got in the way of them doing what they needed to do for their organization. It was a lot of bureaucracy, it was a lot of paperwork. One fantastic thing that the C-split bill did in the long run was create the system of budgetary allocation, which all the people that I've talked to agree with now. Because what budgetary allocation does is it emphasizes smart financial decision making, and it ensures that students are getting 100% of their value of their student activity fee that they pay each semester in their time, at least during that semester, hopefully during that year, and if not during that year, at least during their time at this university. Some of the issues that we've seen without budgetary allocation is massive buildup of funds in student organization accounts, divisional council accounts, university-wide accounts, to the tune of over $1 million.
Did you vote yes on the bill?
I wasn't allowed to vote.
You weren't allowed to
As a
vote.
member of the executive board, I wasn't
Okay.
allowed to vote.
Great. And just one more question. Are you going to be voting yes or no on the referendum?
Like I've said, I think that it would be wise to have a forum for the referendum. So until we can make that happen, I think the wisest course of action at this point is to vote no.
I would agree that we should have a forum. We need to work on bridging the communication gap between the student body and between our organizations. I would also vote.
Okay. So we're going to just move to the tweet now. So John, this is directed to you. As Vice President of Communications, how did you lead the outreach of Emory regarding the constitutional amendment?
The timing of the constitutional amendment was rather unfortunate for me as Vice President for Communications, because as soon as the campaign period began, I removed myself from SGA's communications because I didn't want there to be conflict of interest. So we have recently appointed an associate vice president for communications. His name is Yushin Chen, and the executive board has been coordinating with Yushin to do publicity for the constitutional amendment. I think that it would be wise to send a university-wide email about the constitutional amendment, and I'll encourage the Associate Vice President for Communications and the Executive Board to move in that direction.
Great. John, this is also to you. How will you improve the SGA website?
One thing I've mentioned before, switching out the homepage from its current structure to an action-oriented structure, I really believe that, and I've heard this from students, the SGA website is kind of hard to navigate. So creating these action-oriented buttons that say, I want to start a student organization, I want to find out who represents me, I want to get funding. Leading students in that direction would be fantastic. I've also discussed the creation of the feedback section of the website where you sign in with your Emory ID. You are able to submit your idea or feedback to the Student Government Association, and then other students could vote yes on it, and then they can share it on social media. For example, if Andrew had submitted his, I think an SGA member should blog every session idea on that website, I would have thumbs up to that because I think that's fantastic.
Great. Okay, so that's all the complete questions we have. So we're just going to end with the closing statement. You all have 3 minutes.